It's Jay. Welcome to Mvskoke Radio, your weekly source for tribal and community news, interesting guests and discussions, plus a local events calendar. Jay, Estongo, Gary Fife, Jaho Jifgadas, Mvskoke Radio, Mabuhejit Owedskis. Welcome to our program here on 1240 The Brew. In today's show, we've got a couple of topics to tackle here. First of all, we'll be talking, we have an interview with the coordinator of the upcoming Native Vision Annual Sport and Life Skills Camp. That's coming up on June the 9th and through the 11th here in town. And also in our second segment, we'll be speaking with Carla Feathers about their tips and tools to help you become tobacco-free. So we want to certainly have a discussion on that one. But first of all, let's look at the Native Visions program. It is a sports and life skills camp coming, as I say, June 9th through the 11th. It'll be at the Mvskoke Creek Nation near the sports complex there, the Dome, and the Okmulgee High School. It's a free event, and it is inviting young people of all ages to participate in several sports. Sports like lacrosse, soccer, running, volleyball, basketball, football, and they'll be bringing in professional athletes, tribal leaders, and national dignitaries to conduct these sessions. They'll have sports clinics and life skill workshops, while the community at large participates in parenting workshops, community feasts, and tribal celebrations. Now, we want to emphasize, if you're interested in this, your application is due Monday, June the 6th. So you've got a little bit of time, but you might want to think about that. These sorts of things fill up very quickly. We'll have a little bit of more information on that as we get into it. But first of all, we want to share an interview we did with Marlena Hammens, who is the program coordinator. She came down from the Johns Hopkins Center and has been conducting these camps all around the nation. Now, this is the first one in Oklahoma, and we're happy to share this information with you and invite all these young people to take part. But first of all, let's listen to Marlena Hammens. We understand this is quite an event. You've put these on around the nation. One spot each year, I guess, is highlighted or is the major place. Navajo last year, was it correct?
Yeah, so this is our 20th anniversary. So the Native Vision Camp actually started back in 1996, and we were in Chinle, Arizona, hosted by the Navajo Reservation, and we were there for a couple years, and then we moved our camp to Wyoming, at Riverside, Wyoming, and it was hosted by Arapaho and Shoshone, and we were there for a couple years. And then we moved it to White River, Arizona, which was hosted by the White Mountain Apache tribe, and we were there for, I think we've been there like 6 times. And then we moved to Bernalillo, New Mexico, and that was hosted by the Pueblo tribes, and we've been there for a couple times. And then we went to Shiprock, New Mexico, which was hosted by Navajo Reservation as well. And now, here we are in Okmulgee, Oklahoma. It's hosted by Mvskoke Creek Nation, so we're really excited.
What did the tribe extend the invitation, or you just researched them?
Yeah, so we actually, one of our coaches, Justin Giles, he participated in our camp 2 years ago, and ever since then he's been a coach since then. So back in, I think it was 2014, he started at our Native Vision camp, and he was just hooked by it, and he's like, you need to bring it to my community, you need to bring it to my community. And so in August, our staff flew out here and to look at Mvskoke Creek, and we fell in love with it, and we chose for Mvskoke Creek to host for our 20th annual.
All right, let me ask you kind of a two-pronged question. First of all, Johns Hopkins, that's quite a name to be attached to any effort. Tell me a little bit about that involvement and see if you can capsulize what Native Vision's camp really is.
Yeah, so actually, so Native Vision is a youth enrichment and empowerment initiative for American Indian children, and it's operated through Johns Hopkins Center for American Indian Health. We realized there's problems that need to be addressed in, the American Indian youth communities. And, because we realize that they suffer, some communities suffer the poorest health and socioeconomic and educational status. And they have high rates in suicide, obesities, diabetes, teen pregnancy, high school dropouts. And we decided Native Vision is a strength-based approach that promotes healthy lifestyles and pursuits of education and cultural connectedness, fitness and nutrition among Native youth through a sports engagement strategy. So we use professional and collegiate athletes. They all volunteer their time and paired with Johns Hopkins public health experts and local tribal leaders. And the overall goal is to protect, strengthen, and inspire the next generation of Native leaders. Native Vision was nationally recognized in 1997 at the President's Summit for America's Future as a commitment to America's promise. And we currently reach approximately 1,500 children from tribes across the country annually through our summer camp and after-school programs in 4 tribal communities.
Now, it would seem like sports is a natural. Most Native kids grow up playing one sport or another and are really addicted to it, which is fine. But how do you balance all these other serious subjects with them wanting to come out and play?
Yeah.
So how do you find a balance?
Yeah, so it's funny. So our camp is actually called Native Vision Sports and Life Skills Camp. So we have always said that sports is the hook to get the kids into the camp, but once they're at the camp, that each kid will participate in a life skill workshop. Some of our workshops have been anti-bullying, team leadership, nutrition, some leadership, different other leadership workshops. So these are all workshops that have pursued some of the major goals, some of the major issues in the communities. And this is how we like to talk to the kids about it. But the sports is the hook to get them in there.
Yeah, and then hold their attention also.
Yeah, exactly. And the workshops are fun. Like, we get the kids, they're not just sitting in a classroom, they're very interactive. And all the professional and collegiate athletes that volunteer come to the workshops and interact with the kids as well, and also tell their stories, that they had to deal with growing up and how they were able to pursue to get to where they are today.
Now, as you work with these children, is there something that you've done that kind of caters to the cultural aspects of their lives? I mean, are there other Native American instructors or this sort of thing?
Yeah, so what I'm really excited about this year's camp is, so normally on the past camps, we've had a Johns Hopkins office at their location. So we have a Johns Hopkins office in White Mountain Apache and Navajo. And so, we usually mainly have used like our staff to help with these workshops, but they're native. They are Navajo or White Mountain Apache within the community, so they know their community. And this year, I'm really excited because our workshops, I'm asking mainly for them to be run through Mvskoke Creek Nation. And they have agreed to, help participate in this. So I'm really excited to have, within the community, teaching to the community. So that'll be great for us as well as a learning experience to get to know everyone within Mvskoke Creek.
Okay, you used the word community a couple times there, and Okmulgee is much more than just the Mvskoke Creek people here. Are other non-native people welcome? Are they invited in?
Absolutely. So we do have non-local tribal communities that will be attending the Native Vision Camp. Actually, I do have a group from White Mountain Apache coming and from Navajo. And I do know within the 5 intertribal tribes that are here in Oklahoma, they are participating as well. But yes, all different tribes are welcome to participate in this camp.
Yeah, maybe you could run down your agenda and give us an idea of what's being offered now. Is it a 2-day?
Yeah, so the camp actually, the main thing I want to stress is the camp is free. It is open. Please, it's free. I just want you guys to know that. And also, the ages for the camp is from 7 years old to 18 years old. And now each sport is designated for different age groups. So we offer football, basketball, soccer, lacrosse, running, and volleyball. The camp will kick off on June 9th. We serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner to the kids. And dinner actually is open to the community as well. So starting June 9th, registration will start at 8 a.m., and from 9 to 11, the kids will participate in registration games once they register. At 12 is when we kick off the Native Vision Camp with an open ceremonies, which I have heard that Barry Switzer is going to be attending our opening ceremonies, which we're really excited to have. At 1:30 is when the sports clinics will start, and from 30 to 4:30, the sports clinics will be in pursuit, but also we'll be doing workshops. At 5 o'clock, we will start with our community dinner. And then at 6:30, we will have an all-star basketball game where it's the professional and collegiate athletes against the kids. And it's a lot of fun, and this is completely open to the community. And at this event, we also give out 2 Native Vision $5,000 scholarships. So we'll be announcing the winners at the halftime of the All-Star basketball game.
Well, first of all, it sounds like it's going to be quite a challenge for the local kids to take on the pros and those folks. So hopefully their age and whatever else is catching up.
You'll be surprised. Actually, the kids the kids win. It's a very tight game. I swear, I'm not exaggerating. These coaches, the professional athletes, they definitely don't just let the kids win. They put in their effort. But these kids they're amazing, and it's fun to watch. And actually, we have some of the professional athletes coach the kids, so that they're coached for this fun game.
Can you maybe list a few of those pros who will be coming in? Do you have any idea?
For football, we have some of our athletes who play professionally is Jim Rourke, who played for Kansas City Chiefs, Ron Pritchard, who played for the Cincinnati Bengals, John Olenchuk, who played for Kansas City Chiefs, Bill Myers, who coached Green Bay Packers. We have also a couple kids who are currently playing at Dartmouth College that are attending for football. For basketball, we have Corey Gupton, who played for Detroit Panthers. We have a lot of coaches who, for basketball, who coached either at universities, Park University, or coached at Yale. For volleyball, we have a lot of players that are coming from University of California, Merced, and who are currently playing. For track, we have people who have participated in the Olympics, who's won the 1996 Olympics. His name is Antoine Maybank. We have this woman, Tulia Robinson, who ran for the Jamaica national team. And we have current athletes who coach for collegiate colleges. And the same for soccer. We have some coaches who and players who are currently playing at University of Montana or Southern Oregon University. We actually have one girl, Lena Duke, who's from Oklahoma State University, who's going to be participating. And then for lacrosse, for men and women, we have some players that participate at Johns Hopkins University lacrosse team. And then also we have a bunch of men's lacrosse who are part of the Iroquois Nationals team. So we're really excited to have all of them.
That sounds like quite a lineup.
It is.
Now, with all the, I guess, directions you could go to lend this sort of support to children, I mean, there would be like inner city youth or kids in the rural heartland of the United States. So why choose Native American kids?
Well, that's what our center is all about. It's called Johns Hopkins Center for American Indian Health. We do all of our work based on Native American youth and adults. We have different programs. Our Native Vision Camp's just one of them, but we have also different programs that deal with suicide prevention, teen pregnancy. So, yeah, we have a whole bunch of different programs through our center.
Okay, we'll wrap this up here pretty quick. What about culture? Do you incorporate anything from Mvskoke culture into your overall program?
Yeah, so we are actually looking currently, so we have a couple of items that we want to incorporate. Mvskoke Creek's cultural, traditional, either be dancing or stickball. I hear stickball is huge here. So on Friday night at 6:30, we are doing a cultural/activity games, and we're having a bow shooting demonstration, stickball demonstration, and I believe we're trying to get possibly stomp dance. We're trying to get different cultural traditions at these games. So we are definitely looking for more activities if anyone is interested in this.
If someone was interested in attending, first of all, where will it take place? And is there some sort of registration process involved?
Yeah, so you can pre-register for the camp. It's first come, first serve. You can go to our website, which is nativevision.org, and all the information is on there. Or you can contact my office, which is 410-955-6931, and we can get you a registration form. Everything will be taking place between Claude Cox Omniplex and the Dome and Okmulgee High School. So between those two facilities where everything will be taking place at the camp.
All right. That's everything on my list of questions. Is there a final thought or something like you would like think about when they envision your Native Vision here?
Yeah, my goal is, for parents, this is a great opportunity for your kids to be a part of. It's a free camp. The kids will enjoy themselves of getting to meet other kids, learn a little bit more about sports. Even if they don't know the sport that they're signed up for, they're still going to love being a part of this. And also of hoping that this camp will reach and promote for your kids to reach their goals in life, and know that there, is always a brighter end on the other side. That
was Marlena Hammens with the Johns Hopkins program, talking about Native Vision camps. This is their 20th annual Sports and Life Skills Camp. This is June the 9th through the 11th here at the Mvskoke Creek Nation and Okmulgee High School. Now, I remember she mentioned there that they give annually a $5,000 college scholarship to outstanding American Indian young people, and they must have a commitment to their education, athletics, and leadership. So who knows, you might be eligible for that. If you're interested in attending the camp, I suggest that you register as early as you can. These kinds of things tend to fill up very quickly, and we don't want any disappointed young people. Now, applications are due Monday, June the 6th, and if you have any questions, contact the Cultural Center and Archives Office. That's at 918-549-2434, and tell them you want to register for the Native Vision Sports and Life Skills Camp. Oh, I couldn't get it out there. All right, well, we're going to take a short break here, and we'll be back with Carla Feathers with our Department of Health, and we're going to talk about the anti-smoking campaign and some of the challenges and successes they've had and some tips and tools to help you become tobacco-free. So stay with us here on Mvskoke Radio here on 1240 The Brew.
Who am I? Am I Indian? Just 'cause I'm a girl from the res, don't make things up about me. What if I move away? Then who am I? Some kids try meth just to escape, but then I think about my grandma, my little brother, my beadwork, my poetry, and I think, I like who I am, and I know meth is not for me.
Check out ncai.org, a message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
Nearly 22 million women and girls and nearly 1.6 million men and boys have been raped in their lifetime, probably by someone they know. April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. If you or someone you know has been sexually assaulted, confidential support is only a phone call away. Contact the Mvskoke Creek Nation Family Violence Prevention Program at 918-732-7869 and ask to speak to an advocate. Services are free and open to the general public.
Welcome back to Mvskoke Radio. I'm Gary Fife here, and joining me here in the studio now is Carla Feathers. She is the Tobacco Prevention Program Manager, and I'm glad I asked her about that because a lot of title there. So, welcome back, Carla. We appreciate you making time to come down and talk. As we were joking around earlier, you've done this a couple times now, and you should be an old veteran at it.
Well, thank you for having me back.
All right. Now, we have an opportunity for Creek citizens and others in our community to come down and try and deal with their tobacco addiction problems. It's coming up May 11th, and it's called Tips and Tools to Help You Be Tobacco-Free. So what's it all about?
Well, it's based off of the smoking cessation program. It's a 7-week program, but we know a lot of our citizens and employees can't dedicate 7 weeks to a class. So we wanted to have a quick session during lunch when they can come in and learn some tips and tools to help them quit smoking. So it'll just be a brief introduction on how to get prepared and move forward with this endeavor.
Oh, and there's a light lunch also, I understand.
Yes, Arlene Davis will be teaching the class, and she always says, I need to feed them, so she's feeding them.
Yes, yeah, that's always a good little trick there to draw a crowd. Meeting first, food later, though. That's the way it always goes. Now, how are we doing at the Mvskoke Creek Nation? I know it's hard to kind of come up with statistics and numbers or things like that, but just from your observations and interacting with tribal citizens and employees and people around the community, how are we doing? We still got a hill to climb here?
I think we'll always have a hill to climb just because tobacco is so prevalent in Oklahoma. The state of Oklahoma has actually improved. It was 47th ranked in tobacco use, and now it's up to 40th, and it's had a 19% decrease in tobacco use, but the Native American use still remains higher than the state average and even national average use.
Has anyone ever looked at why that happens? It seems like you see a lot of Indian people who are smokers.
I know a lot of them think that our commercial tobacco is traditional, that we're traditional tobacco users, but the tobacco that we have today isn't natural, and it's not traditional, and it's not used in the same way. Before we used it at ceremonies and at certain times and at certain venues, and now it's just it's an addiction, and they use it all the time, and they kind of use that to say that it's a traditional thing for Indian people, and it's really not. No,
I had always associated traditional tobacco use with a pipe, a pipestone pipe, hand carved, or sometimes a special cigarette that is prepared for you and used for a particular purpose. That's the way I defined it, and I've seen that take place in Native communities all across the United States. But somehow we've gotten off track with that, and somehow people are saying, well, this is traditional. But, all the chemicals and things that are put into today's commercial tobacco, renders it a completely different animal. Right?
Yes, it's just there's so many carcinogens and chemicals in it that it's and then they have a formula for the amount of nicotine and to create this dependency. They have it, they have a really good strategy to get people addicted and hooked on this product.
And its role in our society, you see a lot of commercials now, or we used to at least, And in many movies and TV shows, it's a prominent feature. Somebody wants to relax, they'll sit down and fire one up, and after breakfast they'll have their cup of coffee and a cigarette there. Have we made any progress, though, do you think? Has the message been sinking in? Do more Americans think that maybe, there's something there and we ought to quit putting all this hot burning stuff into the place where we breathe?
I think so. My dad talks about that time when he was in high school and they used to have smoke breaks and they sold cigarettes in the commissary at high schools. And, now we have legislation that keeps tobacco shops so many feet away from schools. They're not supposed to have any kind of advertisements up at eye level for kids. We see all these cities passing smoke-free park laws and the Clean Air Act, where you're not supposed to smoke in any kind of restaurant or indoor building. So I think it's finally catching on, and when we get these policies passed, it affects a lot of people, and it makes it hard to smoke, and that's when, we want to quit, because it becomes difficult to just walk out the door or light up in your office now.
Well, let me ask you for your thoughts and opinion on that particular subject that you mentioned. When you perhaps bring the subject up to someone, or even confront someone, or ask someone to take that cigarette outside or something, many times they'll get mad and belligerent. And, it's usual, you can't tell me what to do. It's my body. I don't care. Blah, 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 blah. And we've all heard all of that. But do you think, or have any of your colleagues thought about that being a sign of the addiction? Is that ever discussed?
That's an answer that a lot of smokers give us. This is my body. I can do what I need to do with it. So we just have to educate them and let them know that, you are harming your body, but you're also harming those around you with secondhand smoke. All these people walking out the door while you're standing there smoking are inhaling your chemicals from your secondhand smoke, and what's coming off of the tip of the cigarette has no filter. So the smoker's actually getting a filtered, breath, while those walking through their smoke are getting an unfiltered. And we also have third-hand smoke now. So, nurses or daycare workers that smoke and have these chemicals on their clothes are holding our babies, and our babies are inhaling those chemicals that are coming off their clothes and their skin and their hair.
It's a bit ironic to have a healthcare worker smelling like cigarettes.
It's the Mvskoke Creek Nation has actually passed a policy, a third-hand smoke policy, that says that anyone in direct patient care is not to have that smell of smoke on them, because they are dealing with asthmatic patients, our babies, our elders, and we don't want them to be exposed to those chemicals.
Now, that's something you can actually, for us non-smokers, it's easy to detect. I mean, you sit down and talk with someone who is a smoker, and you can smell it, you can almost feel it, and I guess to some sense you can almost see it, or, just vapor around them. What we're saying here then is, if you're doing that, then that uniform that you're wearing is taking that chemical into your patients and possibly helping to deteriorate their health conditions.
Yes, it is.
The campus at the Mvskoke Creek Nation, I believe, is it totally designated as smoke-free?
Yes.
Okay, but it is allowed for employees to go outside and. You've seen them. We've all seen them standing out near a door and having a cigarette or something like that.
Well, I haven't spent much time on campus, but as far as I know, it's supposed to be a tobacco-free campus, which means that they are supposed to leave campus to light up.
Mm.
And that's the same case with all our health departments and clinics. The Mvskoke Creek Nation passed a tobacco and nicotine a free environment, which means even vaping and the electronic cigarettes are banned from being used on property. That includes parking lots and vehicles. They're supposed to completely leave our property to use tobacco or the vaping. Or
Mm-hmm. So In essence, say if they were at one of the children's care buildings here on campus, they should at least walk across the street to be off campus.
Yes, and even in that case, we'd hope they'd be out of sight of our young babies that are watching them. We have our Head Start right by the complex, and if you walk out to their playground area and look across the field towards the complex, you see several smoking areas, and this is what our babies are seeing, and they imitate what they see, and that's how they learn, and that's not something we want our children to be picking up on.
Has the Department of Health ever looked at the cost and the impact of smoking on health-related topics?
I don't have anything that the health department or specifically Creek Nation has done, but I know it's a big topic all across the nation. We have women that are smoking while they're pregnant. They wind up having premature or low weight birth babies, and the costs of taking care of those babies are tremendously higher than a healthy birth. People with diabetes, their condition is worsened by tobacco use, and of course, that means more dollars to take care of their diabetes and other conditions, and then cancer and COPD. The smoking affects just about every part of your body, and so if you're already got a chronic disease, it's going to worsen that condition and drive up healthcare costs.
Oh, gosh. And means more resources that our health department has to dedicate then.
Yes, it does. And so we really work on prevention. We want to prevent people from getting to that point where we're having to spend those extra healthcare dollars to care for these diseases that are worsened by tobacco use.
Now, in the lobby outside, you and I were chatting about several topics, and one of them was vaping. It's had been marketed as an alternative to smoking, but it's really not. It's just more mechanical than lighting up a cigarette. Have we ever, your department or your program ever talked about the effects of vaping or what's going on there?
Vaping came onto the market just so quickly, and there was not a lot of regulation on it. And I believe the FDA has finally gotten approval to start regulating vaping. But right now, there's just so much unknown. You can go to these little vape shops and they mix what they call their own brew. So you really don't know what you're getting in your liquid, in the flavors and the chemicals that are in it. And they've already started having problems with these vapings. Either the machine's blowing up or causing fires, or a new thing that's out is called popcorn lung, and it's these chemicals are getting into the smallest airways in the lung and filling with liquid, and it's causing a lot of damage to a person's lungs.
So obviously if you're an athlete or something like that, it's going to cut your wind and your ability and your performance.
Yes, and I know a lot of these companies actually market it to quit smoking, but these are run by tobacco companies. What kind of company is going to sell you a product to help wean you off their product? Right,
yeah. It's thinking, no, that ain't happening. And the scary thing is I understand it, they're putting all these flavors in it, these candy-like flavor in order to attract audiences. Does that kind of thing show up in what you deal with?
Well, with tobacco, when you're adding flavors, there was no flavors in a cigarette. And there's a real tobacco user, they just want the nicotine. They don't need the flavor and all that jazz. But so who are they really targeting here is our younger, population, our kids, our youth, and they're kind of, finding new customers for the ones that are going to be dying off from their product. So, when they have flavors, we really think it's them targeting our youth.
Sure. And saying it's not smoking, it's something else. And we see these little shops popping up all over the place. I remember there were about 3 of them in the little town of Glenpool there along the main drag. A couple of them are gone now, and there's at least one of them showing up in there. pretty much still free to do as they please until these federal regulations actually are enacted. So that's availability then becomes a problem also.
Yes, and I know they had like no regulation on the age. Kids could go in and buy these products as well. And it's actually, instead of helping people quit, it's causing what they call dual use. These people buy these vaping products thinking it's going to help them quit using cigarettes, and they wind up using both of these vaping and cigarettes, and they're just, just wreaking havoc on their body.
All right, yeah. God created our lungs so we could stick something hot and burning in them, an organ that we're supposed to use to breathe, right?
Yes.
The tips and tools program. Now let's look at that for a bit. If you can share some of the actual material that is discussed in this presentation.
Well, we use the 3 A's when we talk about people quitting smoking. One is avoid. You really need to think about your tobacco use. When do you use it? Is it morning, and then after a meal, when you're having a cup of coffee? You kind of need to really think about your tobacco use. And then you need to start avoiding situations in which you really feel the need to smoke. If you go and have a cup of coffee with your friend who's a tobacco user and you know you're going to smoke when you're with them, then you might want to avoid that situation for the first, until you're prepared to handle that. There's alternatives. Instead of going outside for your 15-minute break to smoke a cigarette, you could take a 15-minute walk around the complex and, find alternatives to what you would usually do when you're smoking, and adjust. The other A that we like to use, and it's just, instead of taking that time after you eat dinner to smoke a cigarette, you adjust and go outside and garden, hang out with your kids, just find ways to avoid that situation when you find smoking.
We've heard of a lot of different programs and things, support groups to help people deal with that. Does the technique of cold turkey still fit in? Because I remember I'm a former smoker here, and I quit in 2000. And you nailed a couple of spots that I particularly worked on hard to avoid smoking. That was in the morning when you get up with your coffee. After lunch, you light up a cigarette, and then dinner, and perhaps something, during the day when you're busy or something like that. I figured if I could beat it at those particular times, then the rest would fall into place. And I'm proud to say, when I quit, and it really works. Are you still hearing those kind of stories? Are people still sharing that, or is it more of I need a pill or a patch, or even something more medical than that?
No one technique works for everybody. I know a lot of people that have quit cold turkey, and congratulations on being 16 years smoke-free. Some people need a pill, and some people refuse to take a pill because they've taken it and they didn't like the side effects of it. There's the patches, and some can't use patches because they have an allergic reaction to them. So there's no one technique that will work for everybody. That's when you kind of have to sit down and really think about what's best for you. And I think you really, had a very good strategy. I always tell people, find the cigarette that you need the most, and then find the ones that you probably could have done without, and then start eliminating those. And kind of cut back slowly. But, my mom quit cold turkey. And I think what everybody needs to do is find their motivation. My mom's motivation was her kids, because I was such a brat to her when she would smoke.
I can't imagine that. No, this lovely, gracious lady was a brat. Yeah.
I was terrible to her because I hated the way it smelled. I hated that she was doing this to herself, and I was a big brat to her. And I guess her kids were her motivation. And we find a lot of our older people wanting to quit because they're getting grandchildren now, and they want to be around for those grandkids. So you need to find your motivation to want to be around and healthy enough to participate in your grandkids' life or your children's life or even your own life, Just find that motivation, and then you just gotta. Sometimes they say it takes about an average of 7 times that people have tried to quit before they finally actually are completely smoke free.
Now, you've mentioned, what is it, 3 A's, was that correct?
Yes.
And then motivation here. Is there anything else that gets discussed in these presentations?
We make a quit plan. It's always good to kind of set a date. If you have a birthday or your grandkid's birthday coming up and you say that's going to be my quit day, then you kind of get yourself mentally prepared. You start cleaning out your house. You start getting rid of ashtrays. So finding your quit date is one starting point that we encourage people to do. And if you're going to be taking any kind of nicotine replacement like the Chantix or the patches or gum, you can, get prepared and start have that ready for that day. So it's kind of just like a marker to get people mentally and physically prepared to start this journey, because it is rough. They say nicotine is actually more addictive than heroin and crack cocaine. So this is a huge task that these people are taking on, and we just try to provide as much service as we can to help them, because it's a huge deal.
Picking up there where you said things might get a little rough, and I have to admit that I did get let's say kind of grouchy there. The effects of it, I was thinking, it sure would be nice to sit back and draw on the old Marlboro or whatever, and relax for a while. But is that part of what you deal with at all?
Oh yeah.
I guess mood changes. I guess.
Yes, and that also makes it hard because, a lot of family people will say, I'd rather him smoking than acting like this, because
there's the door.
Yeah, they get pretty crabby. But, if you are able to call the 1-800-QUIT-NOW line, they offer free patches and free gum and counseling, and they're open 24/7. So when you're having these moments and you need someone to talk to, and that support system, if you don't have it at home, the quit line's an awesome tool to use. Or finding a person in your family that's going to be understanding and willing to put up with you during those moments, I guess I could say.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That was my next question. Is there some way a family can help somebody in this process without getting on their case too much or creating internal conflicts?
Oh, that's a thin line to cross, because when this person's quitting, they're going through withdrawals. This is an addiction. It's a behavioral, emotional, and physical addiction that these people have to cigarettes. We encourage when we hand out quit packs, we'll give them a straw, and they're like, "Why is there a straw in here?" And you form this habit of having something in your hand, and that hand to mouth movement. Mm-hmm, it's a learned behavior, and your body is gonna crave that, and it's gonna miss that. And so that's why we provide a straw, so you can have that, that feeling in your hand. And we give them gum because they're used to having something in their mouth. So it's a very thought out, process to quit, because your body is addicted in so many ways, and finding someone that's supportive and isn't always easy, but we just hope that families can understand that this is going to benefit them and the smoker, in the long run, and just putting up with a grouchy person for a couple of weeks. They say the first 2 weeks is the hardest. I've never smoked, so I don't understand the feeling, but speaking with all these people that we work with, they say the first 2 weeks is the hardest, and if you can get past that 2 weeks, but your body is always going to have that memory, I guess you could say. So people that have quit for 10 years think, well, I'm going to have this one, and they wind up being smokers again because they have that in their body now. So, once you break that 2 weeks, you just need to keep going forever.
It's sort of like being an alcoholic. If you don't take that first drink, is the one that'll kill you. And that's the only one you have to worry about. If you don't take the first one, the next 17 ain't going to happen. So,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, the program now has talked about tips and tools. Is there anything else, by the way, under that heading that you wanted to share?
I don't think so. Arlene's got a pretty good little schedule planned out, and then Daniel Little Bear will host another one in June on the 14th, and it'll be at the Complex Conference Room. And between the two of them, I believe we're going to try to have one at least once a month to provide this opportunity for people that want to learn some of these tips and tools.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything such as, like, I don't know, what would you call it, a Tobacco Anonymous kind of group, support group anywhere?
I don't think so. I have never heard of one. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd want to be in a room full of grouchy people anyway. So, as the date gets nearer, you're getting ready to help these folks. Is there some sort of registration involved, or can you just sort of show up?
She did ask for registration. It's actually today. The first class is today. The deadline was on the 6th, but I don't think she had a very big pre-registration.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I would just encourage anybody, even if you haven't registered, to just attend the class, and we'll send out our flyers through the email and try to hopefully get them to the communities and let people know when these classes are taking place so that they can attend one.
Now, this next question is kind of a change. Right now the Department of Health is dealing with a budget crisis, and I know that's really not your area, but does that situation affect what you all are doing and what you can offer, or in some way have some effect?
Yeah, it'll have a little bit of effect. We're actually funded through the one of our grants is through the State Health Department, and right now that grant hasn't been reduced at this time, and we're kind of going off that grant. We don't get to go out to some of our health fairs and other activities like that as much, and that'll take away from some of our education opportunities. But we're still going to provide as many services as we possibly can.
Right, and I think the reductions in budget are primarily tribal money, so that's different from what you're dealing with there. Now, you mentioned going out to communities. Do you actually get out and put these presentations on around Creek Country?
Yes, we try to attend quite a few activities. Our staff attends county coalition meetings, and anytime they have events, we try to set up a booth, and we'll hand out education and items, and talk to people. And I was at the foster care and adoptive recruitment fair this Saturday, and I know it's nearly not tobacco related, but I think anytime we can get that education out there to our citizens and people around our area is a good thing.
Well, you're going to be dealing with children there, and you don't want them to be around smoke.
Yeah.
The contacts now, let's turn to where someone can get in touch with you if they wanted to either attend this particular program, learn about something in the future, or just come in and get something on their own. The old cold turkey method. How do they get in touch with you there?
They can reach us at the Tobacco Prevention Program, and our office is at the Baker Building behind the Medical Center, and we're in Suite 105, and our number is 756-6231. And if they don't want to come to our office but want some counseling and free patches or gum, they can always call the 1-800-QUIT-NOW line. And also, physicians at the clinics and hospitals are able to provide some of the nicotine replacement medicine. So if they want to talk to their physicians about quitting smoking, they can also help.
Before we let you get away, you mentioned a couple of times now a national connection there, a 1-800 line. What is that?
That's actually an Oklahoma line. Each state has their own quit line, and they have counselors there that help, give these, tips and tools, and you can actually talk to the same counselor quite often. They'll call and check on you and see how things are going and give you some advice or anything you need help with. And the state money that we're funded through is linked to that 1-800-QUIT-NOW, so that's why we push it so hard, and it's effective.
Okay. Is there a final thought or something you'd like to share about your tips and tools there? Your program, or quitting. I know I felt so much better after I did. It took a couple of weeks. I got past the grouchy part, but I thought, well, hey, And you mentioned it's always with you. I can still visualize sometimes sitting back and taking a long, deep drag off a cigarette. And then I'm thinking, wait a minute, I'm putting this hot burning chemical into my lungs where I'm supposed to breathe, and my lungs were challenged when I was a kid in the first place. So wait a minute here, what am I doing to myself? So I guess that light of day, came over me, and I quit. And okay, folks, you feel so much better when you do. So
Yes, I would say it's never too late to quit. It's not gonna be easy, and but we have plenty of resources to help people quit. And like you said, you feel better. And even after years of smoking, your body can start repairing. It can't repair all damage, but it can start repairing, and you do feel better, and you live longer. And it's just, find that motivation. And even if you tried to quit before, try again. And if you fail, it's just like life. You can't give up after failing once. You got to get up and try again.
Yeah, getting up. All right, well, thank you so much, Carla Feathers. We're going to keep our eye on your program there, and please let us know if you've got anything else coming up. We'd be glad to do what we can to help you in this campaign.
Thank you so much for having us and allowing us this time to share with everybody.
Okay, well, thank you once more. All right, we'll take a break here, and we'll be back with some community news and announcements, so please stay with us here on Mvskoke Radio on 1240 The Brew.
Hear that? That's the sound of Hope being killed by meth. Methamphetamine use is causing huge problems in our community. Hear that? That's the sound of something you can do about it. Events like rodeo, res ball, and family time can help keep kids away from meth.
Talk to your kids. Keep our culture alive. A message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
Learn more at ncai.org.
I started doing it when I was 11. I wanted to be just like my big brother. And some of my friends were already doing it. We got hooked fast. I just can't get enough. I'm Jacob, and I'm addicted to playing the drums.
There's lots of stuff that makes it cool to be Native. Doing meth isn't one of them. Find something better to do. Check out ncai.org. A message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
Who am I? Am I Native? I don't want people assuming things because I'm Indian. I just want to be me. But how do I live in two worlds? Some guys just check out by doing meth. But that ain't for me. Because I see my family, my friends, my drum making, my future. There are a lot of cool things about being who I am, and meth isn't one of them.
Learn more at ncai.org. A message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
Okay, let's look at some information we need to pass on to you folks. Now, this Friday is the drop dead deadline if you want to get your graduate profile in the upcoming special Mvskoke Nation News section featuring Mvskoke Nation graduates. Now, those submissions should include your full name of the graduate, the school, the university, or technical institution, parents, ceremonial ground and or church, tribal town, clan, and any awards or accomplishment. Now, that's a lot of stuff, but there's also a 150-word limit, so we'll edit if we need to. So try and think of writing sparingly. Let me see. A recent digital photo should also be included with that information, and which must be typewritten and submitted via email now, no later than this Friday, May the 13th. That's Friday the 13th at 5 o'clock. And I'm sorry, no late profiles will be accepted once they start putting that page together. All those bricks must form a wall, and you can't add a brick once you built a wall. Again, your name, parents, high school, college, university, the degree, the clan, tribal town, church, ceremonial ground, and your accomplishments. Again, 5 o'clock, Friday, May the 13th. Okay, here's some great news for all the little ones who enjoy. How many folks out there ever played in the sprinkler? went out and played with a garden hose outside. Well, guess what? The Mvskoke Creek Nation gone you one better. They've opened the splash pad at the Mvskoke Creek Festival grounds right near the Claude Cox Omniplex Dome. That opened up this week, and I was there and saw a few dozen little guys just having the time of their life out there in the sprinklers, in the splashes and the buckets and everything else. Now, the tourism and recreation folks are the ones that are putting that on and sponsoring it. Now, that splash pad is open 7 days a week right now from 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. And you might want to think about checking with them if you have any questions on how long the splash pad will be available. I think they're still working that one out. The Mvskoke Creek Nation School Clothing Program has already begun and will accept applications through December the 31st of this year. All applications must be completed and turned into the office by December 31st, 2017. Now, the program provides a grant of $200 for each eligible Mvskoke Creek student, and that's once per year. So you might want to get a hold of them because guidelines do apply. Now, that may be income, family size, number of students, I don't know. But any enrolled student who is 3 years of age and a certified Head Start or Pre-K 4 years of age to 12th grade is eligible. And that does include private or public schools. Homeschool children who are age 5 through 18 also can apply. So if you want to get an application, you want to go to 2971 North Wood. That's over by the housing department, and check with those or the regional office in your area in Wetumpka, Jinx, and other spots. So you might want to get a hold of them at 918-732, what is that number? 7600. That's the general number, and just ask to get a hold of the school clothing program. All right, the Scholarship Foundation of the Mvskoke Creek Nation is sponsoring a Stride for Education 5K run and fun run walk coming up on Saturday, May the 14th. That's at the Claude Cox Omniplex. There is an entry fee involved, so you might want to check with them. And registration begins on that morning at 7 a.m., so you might want to get up there kind of early and check it out. If you have any questions, call Jennifer Killian at 918-732-7763. Slopslocko Creek Tribal Town is holding a fundraiser this Saturday, the 14th, at 11 a.m. That's at the Alabama Quasarte Community Building, and that's Highway 27 northwest of Wetumpka. The lunch starts at 11 a.m. and bingo starts at 12:30. So go play some bingo, maybe win a few prizes, and help out the folks over there. Okay, we have a golf tournament coming up, part of the Creek Nations Festival. That will be June the 10th through the 12th at the Fountainhead Creek Golf Course, and that's on Highway 150 near Shakota. Each team must consist of at least 2 natives or full-time Mvskoke Creek Nation employees, and there is a registration fee, so you might want to get a hold of them. Deadline is June the 1st. And you want to mail that entry form to Fountainhead Creek Community Golf Course there. Okay, where are we here? We got just about a minute or so. Chilocco reunion set for May the 26th through the 29th at the First Council Casino in Newkirk, up near the Kansas border and Chilocco campus. Call Emma Jean Falling at 918-266-1626. Mvskoke Scholarship Pageant is set for June the 4th. The Mvskoke Creek Nation Scholarship Pageant will be held at the Mvskoke Dome here at the Claude Cox Complex. The doors open at 2:30 and the event starts at 3 p.m. Everyone is invited, and it will conclude with a reception. Okay, finally, the Women's Conference is set for June the 4th in Tahlequah. The Elm Tree Women's Conference has been set for 9 a.m. to 2:30 at the Elm Tree Baptist Church in Tahlequah. Contact Alicia Amaro at 918-772-0201. That'll do it for me. Okay, I'm out of here. Mado, Mabo Hedgetsgut, Gary Fife. You've been listening to Mvskoke Radio. Join us again next week for more local,
on the
tribal,
air,
and
on your
community
phone, and
news
online. It's
updates.
classic hits of the
Let up.
60s, 70s, and 80s on 1240 The Brew, 1240 KOKL, Okmulgee, Oklahoma.